Hello, seventh grade. Happy Tuesday. No, Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. I hope everything is going well. The quote that I wanted to share with you today is at the bottom of our page, and then I'll go back up to go over today's assignment. But the quote I wanted to share is a little bit of progress each day adds up to big results. So I hope each day you're seeing how each of these lessons is building upon the lesson from the previous day, and that little bit of work every single day is going to add up to a big result in the end. So we'll continue with these two learning targets that we have been working on this past week. And today we're going to talk about the revision process. So we've been through all of the steps in the writing process. We went and we generated our ideas, collected our ideas. We did some drafting. Today I want to focus on this step right here, revising. And when you revise, it's important to ask yourself, what really matters? What is really important in this piece of writing? So Mrs. Ash did that with my piece of writing, and I'm going to show you what that looks like, model it for you, and then send you off to work so you can ask yourself what really matters and do some revision on your rough draft that you started yesterday. So remember, we were using Emily Easton's book, Enough, as a mentor text. And we were looking at how we can use some of those blurbs in the back of the book to write our nonfiction pieces of text, knowing that we have a really limited space. So, what's really important, upside down, what really matters is what we want to include in the text. We want to keep it nice and concise, succinct, to the point, short, sweet, but full of interesting and important information. And we saw how Emily Easton did that in her blurbs. And then yesterday, Mrs. Ash modeled for you how I used her text as a mentor text. So I asked myself, I went back to my rough draft and I said, okay, what's really important? And I looked at that first line because just like Emily Easton, I put the most important piece of information, that topic sentence right there in that, right at the beginning. And I thought this part right here is John Trudell used his powerful voice to bring about positive change to the American Indian community. So then I had to ask myself, okay, how did he do that? Did I explain how he did that in the rest of the body of the text? So I looked at the rest of my text and I thought that I could do better explaining how he did that, how he brought positive change to the American Indian community. So I added, that meant I had to go back in my assignment and I had to go back to this step right here, this research step. And I had to go back and I had to get some more information about what Mr. Trudell's major accomplishments were. So in my notebook, I added to my notes, and there we go. Remember, I had color coded, I had the video in green and the website, or the video in blue, the website in green. I did a bit more research and I found this website called counterpunch.org, and I vetted it to make sure it was credible, and it was a credible resource. It was called counterpunch.org. So you can see I added some more notes to my research, and I used that to add one more important paragraph when I asked myself what really matters about John Trudell. And here's the paragraph that I added. Trudell's work with AIM drew attention to the government policy of termination, which led to the restoration of tribal rights in some native lands. So, powerful voice brought about positive change to the American Indian community. So, restoration of tribal rights in some native lands. His later environmental activism in his later environmental activism helped in the forest protection efforts of the 1980s, and he also supported efforts to defend native fishing rights. And we know that we still have those fishing rights and we still retain those fishing rights today. So I thought I couldn't add too much because I still wanted to keep it short, sweet, and to the point, nice and concise, but I still was able to keep it to one page and add some more interesting details that talked about how his voice brought positive change to the American Indian community. So that was part of my revision right there. And then the other part that I was thinking about this quote. I might change this quote right here. So the quote that I used was, I wanted I talked about his powerful voice. So his words were powerful. So I thought this quote matched. I wanted to take the power of thought in the word along with the power of speaking and heart and see if I could I could wire what was coming out of us as humans with electrical instruments. So John Trudell was also a musician, and that's what he's referring to right here with his electric instruments. But I didn't really talk about his poetry or his music in this piece. I mostly focused on his political activism. So, what I think I'm going to do next to continue to revise this piece is I think I'm going to try to find a better quote. I like that quote at first because it talked about the power of words and I thought it was fitting with my topic sentence, but I think I might go back and do some more research and find a different quote that maybe talks about positive change that he brought to the Indian community. So that's I'm going to continue to revise. Remember, revision is an ongoing process, step by step, little bit by little bit. And even though our text is short, we still want to make sure we go back and not just go through, okay, I have one page, I'm done. Yay, Mrs. Ash, turn it in. You want to make sure that what you have is really powerful and you get the message of what's really important about the political activist that you chose across to your reader. So if you have any questions, make sure that you shoot me an email. We can always set up a Google Meet. And tomorrow is the last step in the writing process. We are going to do editing and publishing. That pretty much is going to be on your own. Editing, if we go back to this last part right here, share your draft with someone at home. You saw in yesterday's video when I read my piece aloud to you, I found that mistake because when I was reading it, it comes out a little bit more clearly than when I'm just typing it and thinking about it in my head. So that's one strategy you can use for your revisions, reading it out loud. Also, share your draft with someone at home. They will definitely be happy to help you revise and use any questions or comments that they have to continue to revise your writing piece and make it stronger. So remember, your pieces are due tomorrow. And also, don't forget that tomorrow we have our bingo celebration at 1:30. We hope to see you there. Miss Scott will be sending out a Google Meet link, and there's a $25 gift card prize for everybody, for the winner of bingo for tomorrow. So we wanted to have just a little last day sort of celebration where all of middle school can get together, even though we're not together like we normally would be with the big powwow at the end of the year. We wanted to do at least a little something to celebrate our last day of remote learning, which is tomorrow. Okay, I will see you tomorrow, and email me if you have any questions.